Hello little cubs, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to Storytime with Mama Bear and more Aesop's Fables. Tonight I have with me the very charming, very happy and very bubbly HappyFeet audios. I only recently discovered this lovely lady and I am absolutely hooked. You must check out her wonderfully charming role plays. She is such a bundle of joy and an absolute pleasure to work with. I shall link her channel down below so you can check out her wonderful role plays, and please give her some love. She's only new to the scene and honestly you will not regret listening to her content. If you enjoy this collaboration, please give it a like and share with your family and your friends, and of course be sure to subscribe for more story time with Mama Bear. I hope you all enjoy. Sweet dreams. The Ass and the Load of Salt. A merchant, driving his ass homeward from the seashore with a heavy load of salt, came to a river crossed by a shallow ford. They had crossed this river many times before without accident, but this time the ass slipped and fell when halfway over. And when the merchant at last got him to his feet, much of the salt had melted away. Delighted to find how much lighter his burden had become, the ass finished the journey very gaily. Next day, the merchant went for another load of salt. On the way home, the ass, remembering what had happened at the ford, purposely let himself fall into the water, and again got rid of most of his burden. The angry merchant immediately turned about and drove the ass back to the seashore, where he loaded him with 2 great baskets of sponges. At the ford, the ass again tumbled over, but when he had scrambled to his feet, it was a very disconsolate ass that dragged himself homeward under a load 10 times heavier than before. The same measures will not suit all circumstances.
The Serpent and the Eagle. A serpent had succeeded in surprising an eagle and had wrapped itself around the eagle's neck. The eagle could not reach the serpent neither with its beak nor claws. Far into the sky he soared, trying to shake off his enemy, but the serpent's hold only tightened, and slowly the eagle sank back to earth, gasping for breath. A countryman chanced to see the unequal combat. In pity for the noble eagle, he rushed up and soon had loosened the coiling serpent and freed the eagle. The serpent was furious. He had no chance to bite the watchful countryman. Instead, he struck at the drinking horn hanging at the countryman's belt, and into it let fly the poison of his fangs. The countryman now went towards home. Becoming thirsty on the way, he filled his horn at a spring and was about to drink. There was a sudden rush of great wings. Sweeping down, the eagle seized the poisoned horn from out of his savior's hands and flew away with it to hide it where it could never be found. An act of kindness is well repaid.
The Mice and the Weasels. The weasels and the mice were always up in arms against each other. In every battle, the weasels carried off the victory, as well as a large number of the mice, which they ate for dinner next day. In despair, the mice called a council, and there it was decided that the mouse army was always beaten because it had no leaders. So a large number of generals and commanders were appointed from among the most eminent mice. To distinguish themselves from the soldiers in the ranks, the new leaders proudly bound on their heads lofty crests and ornaments of feathers or straw. Then, after long preparation of the mouse army and all the arts of war, they sent a challenge to the weasels. The weasels accepted the challenge with eagerness, for they were always ready for a fight when a meal was in sight. They immediately attacked the mouse army in large numbers. Soon, the mouse line gave way before the attack, and the whole army fled for cover. The privates easily slipped into their holes, but the mouse leaders could not squeeze through the narrow openings because of their headdresses. Not one escaped the teeth of the hungry weasels. Greatness has its penalties.
The Travelers and the Sea. 2 travelers were walking along the seashore. Far out they saw something riding on the waves. "Look," said the one, "a great ship rides in from distant lands, bearing rich treasures." The object they saw came ever nearer the shore. "No," said the other, "that is not a treasure ship. That is some fisherman's skiff with a day's catch of savory fish." Still nearer came the object. The waves washed it up on shore. "It is a chest of gold lost from some wreck," they cried. Both travelers rushed to the beach, but there they found nothing but a water-soaked log. Do not let your hopes carry you away from reality.
The Wolf and the Lean Dog. A wolf, prowling near a village one evening, met a dog. It happened to be a very lean and bony dog, and Master Wolf would have turned up his nose at such meagre fare had he not been more hungry than usual. So he began to edge toward the dog, while the dog backed away. "Let me remind your lordship," said the dog, his words interrupted now and then as he dodged a snap of the wolf's teeth, "how unpleasant it would be to eat me now. Look at my ribs. I am nothing but skin and bone. But let me tell you something in private. In a few days, my master will give a wedding feast for his only daughter. You can guess how fine and fat I will grow on the scraps from the table. Then is the time to eat me." The wolf could not help thinking how nice it would be to have a fine fat dog to eat instead of the scrawny object before him. So he went away pulling in his belt and promising to return. Some days later, the wolf came back for the promised feast. He found the dog in his master's yard and asked him to come out and be eaten. "Sir," said the dog with a grin, "I shall be delighted to have you eat me. I'll be out as soon as the porter opens the door." But the porter was a huge dog whom the wolf knew by painful experience to be very unkind to wolves. So he decided not to wait and made off as fast as his legs could carry him. Do not depend on the promises of those whose interest it is to deceive you.
The Wolf and the Lamb. A stray lamb stood drinking early one morning on the bank of a woodland stream. That very same morning, a hungry wolf came by farther up the stream, hunting for something to eat. He soon got his eyes on the lamb. As a rule, Mr. Wolf snapped up such delicious morsels without making any bones about it, but this lamb looked so very helpless and innocent that the wolf thought he ought to have some kind of excuse for taking its life. "How dare you paddle around in my stream and stir up all the mud," he shouted fiercely. "You deserve to be punished severely for your rashness." "But your highness," replied the trembling lamb, "do not be angry. I cannot possibly muddy the water you are drinking up there. Remember, you are upstream, and I am downstream." "You do muddy it," retorted the wolf savagely, "and besides, I have heard you told lies about me last year." "How could I have done so?" pleaded the lamb. "I wasn't born until this year." "If it wasn't you, it was your brother." "I have no brothers." "Well then," snarled the wolf, "it was someone in your family anyway. But no matter who it is, I do not intend to be talked out of my breakfast." And without any more words, the wolf seized the poor lamb and carried her off into the forest. The tyrant can always find an excuse for his tyranny. The unjust will not listen to the reasoning of the innocent.